Welcome to the Leader Impact podcast. We are a community of leaders with a network in over 350 cities around the world, dedicated to optimizing our personal, professional, and spiritual lives to have impact. This show is where we have a chance to listen and engage with leaders who are living this out. We love talking with leaders, so if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions to make this show even better, please let us know. The best way to stay connected is through our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social media at LeaderImpact. I'm your host, Lisa Peters, and welcome to our podcast with Esther de Wolde. Esther is the CEO and one of the founders of Phantom Screens, North America's leading provider of retractable screens for doors, windows, and large openings, such as patios, porches, and verandas. Esther has nurtured and grown the corporation to become the leading brand in the retractable screen industry. It began as a dream based in a garage, and from there, the business grew one screen at a time. Her passion for business is matched by her care for people, believing that Phantom Screens can only be truly successful if it has served its people, its customers, and its business partners with respect and with integrity. Esther's success is complemented by her belief in values-based leadership and having a solid foundation based on her faith in God. She says, without values, there's no secure future for a company or an individual. My value system is based upon the fact that I have a higher accountability than to a board of directors. Outside of her role as chief executive, Esther is a member of several local and global boards and a youth leader in her church. Being a country farm girl at heart, she loves nothing more than spending time working in her English garden. And when the gardening season winds down, she loves filling her time antiquing, spending time with her two grown daughters, and golfing with her husband. Join us now for a conversation with Esther de Wolde as we chat about learning to move through life's ups and downs and getting back on track in your personal, professional, and spiritual journey. Well, welcome, Esther. It is so nice to see you.
And you. This is going to be fun.
Well, and it's funny because we're talking about ups and downs in life. And the last time we talked, you were displaced because of the BC, the floods. So how are you doing now?
Still displaced. The joke is after 35 years of marriage, we're living in a basement suite and just very thankful for family. My sister took us in, and so there we are. And it definitely is a different phase of life we didn't plan on, but through it all, life's not fair, but God's good.
Oh yeah, and I'm so thankful because I know we've tried to get together a few times, but and you keep calling me, and I'm like, Esther, take care of yourself. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So we're going to start. We usually start just sharing with our viewers, if you could share with them a little bit about yourself growing up and sort of your personal journey.
Yeah, sure. Born at an early age. No, I won't go back there. So, typical, grew up here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, and throughout high school wanted to be a vet. That was my big passion. And all because I did not get good enough marks in my sciences, I landed up going far away to a college for a year down in Iowa. And it was there that I was realizing, I'm getting pretty great marks in accounting. Maybe this is a fallback plan. And so that's what I did. And then after that year, I transferred back up here and in British Columbia. And I went for then it was called Certified General Accountancy designation and worked towards that. Began in public practice at first, had been working at a firm for a couple of years and then sent out on a audit at one particular client, and I really enjoyed them. And then they invited me back through the accounting firm to install their first ever computer system, because these were the days when bookkeeping was still done in big ledgers, synoptic journals. So they hired myself from the firm to do that, which is kind of funny because I didn't even go through school learning computers. So, fake it till you make it is what it was. So I went there, installed the system for them. It happened to be for a pizza franchisor named at the time Panagopoulos 2-for-1 Pizza. And we're the largest pizza chain here in Western Canada. after several months of being there, they actually offered me a job. And it was at that point, early in my career, that I then switched to industry and out of public practice for accounting. And at the ripe old age of, I think, about 24, I was their director of finance. So
Ripe old age.
beautiful opportunity. I know, isn't that ridiculous when I think back now? And that's what launched my career. And during that time, also married my high school sweetheart as well.
Oh. So your high school sweetheart, did you guys, you went to high school together, but did you then go to university together, or were
We
you guys
did.
always together?
Well, I say high school sweetheart because we were both in high school. However, he lived in a town over. I met him through our church young peoples. Once a month, the whole Fraser Valley would get together and we'd go roller skating. I'm really dating myself by these
Oh,
examples.
no.
And that's where I met him, and the rest is history. As I said earlier, we've been married 35 years already. And then he did not go to school with me. He went somewhere else and got his degree in computer programming.
Oh, and
Mhm.
I believe you have some children.
We do. We have two
Oh,
daughters who are all
right.
grown up now, uh, 26 and 23. One's married, lives in Iowa, and the other is in law school in Ottawa right now.
Wow. All
We're
right.
empty nestered, which is a good thing because it'd be really crowded in that basement suite if they were home.
Right. Taking care of yourself's one thing, but taking care of a whole family during displaced, another story. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, moving on to your professional career, you obviously had your CPA. You got your
Mhm.
CPA, I believe. So, start sort of from there, and because now you're a CEO of a North American company. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. So I begin working for this pizza franchise, and the owners of that company, their last name is the Rooks. The Rook family started lots of companies while we were there. They would, why buy pizza sauce from someone else when you can make it yourself? And so they kept spinning off companies, becoming vertically integrated. And I, as director of finance, kind of had my mitts in each one of those companies in the setup and what have you. There was one particular one, though, that started out. One of the Rook brothers came to work. He'd bought this no-name retractable screen for his house, and he had fallen in love with it and did the typical Remington Shaver story. Hey, we should buy the company. And so, long story short, they did. And very long story short, it's now called Phantom Screens, and I, 30 years later, am the CEO of it. So that was my foray into becoming an owner in a company back in 1992. And that was after working for them for 4 years. And so when I began running the company of Phantom Screens, the thing was I never gave up my day job, shall we say. So I had begun working, your typical 10 hours a day in the office, and then I would go on to do Phantom Screens and make sure that was running well and trying to get it to start. And over the year, as the year rolled on, 2, 3 years, I mean, the days just got longer and longer and longer. And so here's where my stories begins, or I should say, I start to go off track a little. I begin to be so much at work, and my husband's going to school full time. He's working full time. We're two ships in the night entirely. We don't see each other. I'm becoming better friends with the people at work. And unbeknownst to me, but I begin to really be fed somewhat or attracted to people who start to flatter me, and I'd had this, high title at a young age, but I was doing their job they wanted me to do, and a good job. So I was getting flattered all the time. And what starts to happen is you start to glom to people that are so impressed with you. But I didn't even recognize it at this time. I know it's the definition of need for approval, right? But at that time I didn't have words to it. I came from a Dutch work ethic where no news is good news. Head down to the grindstone. We don't say we love each other. You just know mom and dad love you. Work hard. You don't get complimented. So in the outside world, when I started to grow up and I started to get this attention and awards and accolades, it was like, oh, you start to just go off track because of it. And the crazy thing was, on Sundays, though, my husband and I, we were doing well. We bought our first house, had nice cars already. We'd pull up into church on Sunday morning, and we looked like the couple that had it all, physically, materially. But I knew inside I was beginning to live a life that was not, how I had grown up with my Christian faith values at all. And I was really beginning to develop unhealthy relationships outside of my marriage. And that went on for a bit. And I had to really have a wake up call to make a change.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, when I listen to your story, and going back to you were working two jobs, I'm pretty sure, and I'm not, it was good. Like I think
Mm.
it's so exciting, right? Like you're, the I mean, you stayed at the other job for money, probably,
Yeah.
because someone's got to pay the bills, and
Yeah.
then this exciting new phantom screens, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how easily you
Oh,
get
it's
wrapped
addictive.
up. Yes, it is
So
addictive.
addictive. I mean, that's one thing we can say of the younger generation today. They know how to balance work and life so much better. So
Mm.
much better. So yeah, that's where it hit. And
You
soon I began to realize that I was a hypocrite. And, I was leader of the girls' youth club at church at the time. And just it just, how one can live two different lives is unbelievable. And I look back now and I'm so ashamed. But thankfully, God is in control and tapped me on the shoulder. And the tap, I wish it was as calm as a tap on the shoulder. It really wasn't. Um,
let's hear that story.
yeah. So I was driving home one evening, and it's like it happened yesterday. And I'm kind of thankful for that because it keeps me on the straight and narrow. I was driving home on the freeway, and I was coming to the last um, hill before you descend into Fraser Valley, into Abbotsford. And as I was approaching on the hill, suddenly, and I don't know if this happened or if this was a vision in my sleep. That's the weird thing today. I cannot tell you, but it feels like it was real. The whole sky just went white, lightning strike type, clouds unrolling. And honestly, to me, I thought this was the end of times as promised in Revelations, when the clouds were going to roll back as a scroll. And I heard, and it's the only time that I can honestly say that I've had an audible voice speak to me. And it was basically, Esther, you continue on this path. You won't be with me in eternity. And then it was done and it was over. The clouds rolled back. It was evening again. And I was shaking like a leaf. And it was then that I recognized I need to make some significant changes and course corrections in my life. And so many things happened at that time where it was a real affirmation that indeed that was what I needed to do. And I almost want to say the blessings started to pour forth. Uh, one of them being gifted sweat equity in the company I was trying to launch, because I was just an employee at the time. And honestly, at that point, because it kind of had all dovetailed together, I felt very strongly that, excuse me, getting over a cold, I felt very strongly that it was also a huge reminder that this company isn't mine. It's not the Rook's. It's God's to begin with, and to operate it accordingly forever and ever.
From the moment it happened, this God moment, let's just call it what it is. When did you start making, and then you said you made the changes, your life was blessed after that, and offered equity. So what was that time between that the moment and you started making, like, because you feel like you can remember that moment like it was yesterday, which is a good thing because it keeps you on the straight and narrow. But how long did it take you to make the changes? Was it like you went home and it was like, we're done, that scared me enough?
No, it it spurred me on to begin making the changes immediately, but it took me several months to really unpack and take myself out of certain situations. Um, through it all, I had recently also buried my mother. There were so many things happening at one time that it's hard to remember, but it did not happen like that. It took me a few months.
I think sometimes everybody wants action. We want it fast. We want to
Yeah.
just, and it
Yeah.
doesn't happen that way. It's a journey.
Especially when it involves other people and relationship, and you're working with these people. So I wasn't as forward and open with my faith as I am now. And so you're trying to make this change without explaining yourself. You're kind of slowly backing away. And that's kind of the way it was.
Yeah, you have to make
Definitely.
changes. When someone looks at your company, they may look at your vision, mission, and goals and ask themselves, does that really speak about the company? And you were pretty forward that it
Mm,
does. And I want you to talk a little bit about that, about what your company says about you and your company.
fair. Um, One of the blessings that happened when I made my course correction was I was invited. Remember, I'm in my 20s. I was invited to the Billy Graham Training Center forum for executives on faith in the workplace. I don't even know where the invite came up. It was all expenses paid. These things I can't even explain to you. I actually take Shayla Visser with me, who now is a global leader with Alpha Ministries. She came with me. We went together, and it was there that I learned how to make your faith in the workplace be real. And it was all about setting your values and ensuring that everyone understood those values and that they just didn't hang on a wall, that you actually practiced them day in, day out. And it kind of was that simple. And from that point on, I wrote our 4 corporate values out. Yes, there are Bible verses for each one of them, and very much linked to that. But when they come out publicly in my company, they're written in a way that anybody can embrace them, right? Whether you're pink, blue, of faith, not of faith, doesn't matter. And then it was my role to hold myself accountable to them and everyone. And of course, then it becomes your recruiting tool. It becomes for employees, but also even we sell through distributors. So it's very important that our values match with our distributors, and they just become the roadmap for behavior. And it's constant. And when they're that visible and held up, like you can't unknowingly stray from them because you have to intentionally go against them. And
Yeah.
so that's the beauty. Like, how many times we've been sitting here in this boardroom having meetings where someone will go, well, hold on a minute, does that line up with our value? I mean, if we say to speak the truth, and then it'll be like, oh yeah, you're right. So it's just refreshing. Like, I don't know how other companies do it without values. I really don't. Unless, I guess, if you don't care, I suppose there's that. But and out of those values our purpose flows, and then out of that our mission to make life better. And yeah, it just all flows out. And it makes doing business easy, quite frankly. Now, not always nice, because sometimes, oh, why do we have to speak the truth all the time? It'd be so much easier if we didn't say this, or but no, in the end, I honestly believe the Lord continues to bless this company because of that. I really do.
That's great. I just watched a video of you, social media. I want to say Facebook. I'm not sure. And it talked about, and you just said, you know, your values and the people you hire. And you did a
Mm.
video on a book you just read, and it was in
Mm.
hiring process, and you're like, we've made mistakes. Trust me, this is a great book. It was really cute.
Oh,
I don't. What was the book called?
I think it might have been the top hiring mistakes by oh boy, now you're gonna test me.
No, that's okay.
I know his name,
Yeah,
I just can't think of it right now, and it's really good.
yeah, it was really good. Your video was good because I think you just, everyone makes mistakes, and
Oh,
this is a
was it?
great book to
Yeah,
learn from.
I think the book
Yeah.
might have been called My Worst Hires, and it was so funny because when it came out last year for a joke, I laid it on my desk in front of all the performance review meetings I had, and people would come in and they'd be like, "Are you
Oh,
delivering me a message?" And I'd be like,
yeah.
"Oh no, just funning with you."
Oh, that's cute. So, what is some of the best professional advice that you have ever received?
Oh, I think it came from a consultant. I went to a firm for help on dealing with a then executive. He doesn't work for us anymore. Um, to help me coach this individual to see the error of his ways. And I explained the whole situation to this consultant. I still remember that like yesterday too, sitting in a Denny's having breakfast with him in Langley. And he listens to me and he goes, wow, He goes, well, let's start with the problem first. And I said, okay, yeah, let's get to this. And he goes, okay, well, the problem's you. And I was like, what? And that that kicked off it's probably been 15 years now. He's been my executive coach. And I recognized that often what you see in others and what the problem is, you better look in the mirror because often it comes from your own leadership. And that has been so amazing. Now, in the end, that individual shouldn't have been working here any longer. And that's got to that point. But the amount of growth I got from it. So the best advice is get yourself a coach, an executive coach. I don't know. I mean, there's some people born really gifted with absolute confidence and smarts, intelligence, emotional intelligence, but I have never met an individual that could not be helped by having an executive coach. I just think two heads are better than one.
Yeah, I think of back when we were kids, and if you were a basketball player or a dancer or on the chess club or whatever, you had a coach.
Right?
We've had we've had teachers and coaches until grade 12 university, and then all of a sudden we become adults
Yeah,
and we don't have coaches.
right.
There's no
Right.
one, yeah. So great
As
point.
an employer, yeah, as a manager, you don't. As a parent, you don't. Like,
No.
these are the biggest stake things we're doing.
Fake it till you make it, Esther.
Yeah,
I think
there you
there's a
go.
better saying on that.
Yeah,
Face it till you make it.
yeah,
And
there
I'll
you go.
thank Tana Rowe for that. So what is the number one priority in your company right now?
Well, I would say right now it's all circling employment. As much as I say we attract great people, and we do, but I'll tell you, I feel like globally we are all facing a labor crisis. And from that, production quality suffers. The global supply chain crisis is due to lack of labor availability. And I'm very, very concerned. I'm not lost hope, but I am concerned that we need to get back to having people believe that working in the trades is not a bad thing. And we don't all need to graduate with, master's degrees and sit in offices because there is a whole manufacturing industry in North America that needs employees. And right now, trying to find people willing to do those, entry level, non skilled jobs, very tough, very tough. And so that's probably a number one thing for us.
Hmm. I had a client, and we talked about women in trades, and
Mm,
women can change the family dynamics by getting involved in trades. You
mm,
know, uh,
mhm.
they make awesome welders.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
heard they're skilled at that. But we need more
yeah.
women in trades too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
absolutely.
So we're going to switch gears, a little bit of your spiritual journey, which you definitely gave us a kickstart of
Mhm.
driving down into Abbotsford Langley River Road. And, but where are you now? Which I think you're fabulously happy. But
Where am I now from
yeah,
a
in your
spiritual point of view?
yeah, because you gave us
Healthy?
how it all changed, and
Well, I mean, I guess the thing is you never arrive, and the important thing is to always keep plugged in, with your own church community, fellowship, and own personal devotional life and prayer life. And so I go through peaks and valleys. Let's be honest. I do feel that I'm in a valley right now with my whole personal home getting demolished now and having to rebuild and all that kind of thing, and losing so many dear things in the flood. So when you're in that valley, who do you go to? You go to the higher power of your life, right? And you cling and you pray. So um, I feel very much aware right now of the brevity of life, for one. The how things can change in an instant, and you don't have the world by the tail. But through it all, and I said it at the beginning, life's not fair, but God is good. And so that I'm feeling in a very humbled mode right now, in a very awe-inspired mode of God really is in control. I mean, you throw in the COVID and the flooding and the fires, and right, like, what
jeez.
is anything for sure anymore? And so like I say, I feel humbled and so safe having a Lord I can count on, because at the end of the day, that's all we got.
Yeah, I can't imagine, if this happened to someone who didn't have your faith. Because
Mm,
you could be really angry right now, Esther.
yeah,
You've you lost
yeah,
the house, the memory, like a lot, and a
yeah,
lot. But that's
yeah,
just stuff.
yeah.
It's just stuff.
It is just stuff, and it's tied to memories. And
Yeah.
I did have to give myself permission almost to grieve that. I wasn't grieving the stuff; I was grieving the memories.
Yeah.
Um, so you're right. Like, also through this, I feel like it's my responsibility. I take it almost more as an honor to hopefully reflect that you don't have to get angry, right? Just keep looking up, and don't think you can fix it, because you can't. And hopefully that speaks volumes to folks. I've had some of my senior leaders here and others pull me aside and just go, don't know how you're doing it. And you know what? That just gives me, oh, okay, good. I mean, it's genuine how I'm feeling. So thankfully they see it, and who knows how it speaks to them, right? I hope it gives them something to think about.
Yeah. A
Um,
little. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'm reading a book right now, More Than a Business Card. By Garth
Yes.
Nestle.
Garth Jessley.
There you go.
We interviewed him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I had read his book earlier, but I'm rereading it right now. And just that reminder, when I was younger, and especially the European like work ethic, I said, where it's a real stiff upper brow and you don't really talk about your faith. You do your faith, but you don't talk about your faith. And Garth's really reminding me about, no, that's a cop out. There are times where you need to speak up and share what's giving you your strength. And so that timing of that book's really great right now too. That through this, I need to acknowledge why I feel humbled, why I feel hopeful. I need to acknowledge and say it's clearly because of the Lord, my Savior. Like, there's no other answer.
Yeah. You just said you had read the book once and you're rereading again. Do you find that you get more out of a book when you read it the second time?
Well, yeah, because here's the
Yeah.
truth. The first time I had to read it, he asked if I would give an endorsement for it. And so I was kind of forced to read it. And I didn't feel like reading it at the time. I'm going to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
out of respect to Garth, I did, gave him the endorsement. And but when I picked it up this time, it was because I needed it. There was something about it that called me to read it now.
Yes.
And I have that so often with books that I'll get a gift of a book and I'll be like, meh, whatever. And then suddenly something will happen and I'll feel like I should read it. And then it speaks so loud to me.
Yeah. I interviewed Roger S. Baldwin, and we were talking about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Mm.
I've had that book forever. And meh. And then people talk about it. I'm like, and I picked it up, put it down. I have finally picked it up and I'm reading everything twice. Like I read the chapter and I go back and then I'm highlighting. I'm like, this is brilliant. But it took me time to pick it up.
Yeah,
And I don't
right.
know if I was ready for what I read.
Mm.
And I'm ready now.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Totally.
you're involved in Leader Impact in a
Yeah.
group right now? And is
I'm
that
not in a group right now, just to be clear.
okay? Okay. And you know what, everybody, I went probably a year without, being involved,
Yeah.
and I've just started a
Well,
new group.
COVID killed our group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. Yeah. There's a
Mhm.
lot of teams meeting online.
Yeah.
We've started ours, so it's great because it's all across Saskatchewan. We've got people
Oh,
coming on.
nice.
So, it just that's one of the bonuses, I guess, of COVID. We learned to use Zoom a lot.
Yeah.
So I just want to, because I know you were involved with Leader
Mhm.
Impact in the beginning, like you were one of those founding people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can talk about the importance of Leader Impact to people today.
Yeah, absolutely. When I originally was involved, it was because I couldn't find anyone that was willing to talk about faith and work. And so having Leader Impact, uh, a lot of their tools in their curriculum is just so valuable at making you think it through. And I think it's good you asked me the question because I'm so used to Leader Impact in my life that I don't even sometimes remember what kind of drought I was in at the time looking for a group and material. And so, yeah, being able to meet with like minded individuals or folks who aren't like minded and are searching. I mean, how fun is that? And then the curriculum you cover is always really rich, and hearing from others in the same boat as you in the workplace has been terrific. And the last group I was in was actually it was ladies only, uh, and we did that, and that's a different dynamic again too. I'm used to being the only lady in my profession because I'm in the home improvement industry. It's not that female oriented, but it was fun to be with a group of ladies because let's face it, we are facing sometimes uh, the motherhood thing, the guilt. There is extra components. So again, that dynamic has been fun doing Leader Impact in a different way this past time.
Yeah. And I know you have grown daughters, but I think COVID for a lot of people, for some ladies, it's put them back 10 years because they've had to step back out of their careers and take care of family. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a it's nice to have the female, the leaders group to share, and again a different dynamic when there's the co-ed
Yeah,
group.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So leader impact is obviously about your impact as a leader and how an impact through your leadership. Have you considered what you want your faith legacy to be when you leave
Oof.
this world?
Wow,
Oof.
could you come up with a more simple question than that? I think, oof, I think from a faith legacy, I don't need people to remember me. I just need people to remember what gave me hope. You know what I mean? So when I when I move on, that's what I want people to talk about is it I don't need them to, oh, Esther, this. No, 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 no. It doesn't need to be a building with my name on it or a street sign with my name. It just needs to be, wow, how God was a part of her life and the impact it had on others. That would be the dream, right? And here at Phantom, I always say I had one really cool story. We're probably running out of time, but I had one individual join us. I mean, hopefully we've impacted lots of people in their faith walk here, whether I know it or not. But there was one individual who worked very closely with me. He joined and he said, I'm a little scared of joining your organization because you kind of talk Christian-y on your website and I'm an atheist. And I said, awesome. I love having atheists on the team because, it's vibrant conversation. Anyways, long story short, he's with us 5 years. We have a major project that we work on together. He becomes my marketing PR assistant, and we were flying back and forth to Alabama once a month for a week. And I was restoring a house there. It turned into a marketing project for Phantom. That's a whole other story. Anyways, as we were traveling so much together, we'd have so many incredible conversations debating Christianity because of his background. He asked if he could go to church with me when we were there one weekend, just because he'd heard about Southern, Baptist church, how the services were. And he said that'd be kind of fun to experience as an atheist. He was from Britain, by the way, or England. And he joins me. And if that pastor didn't preach a sermon that just sent a bullet through his heart, and he could not talk for several hours after. And then he just finally, when he could get his voice back, he started to ask me questions. And some of the answers I knew and some I didn't. And he was just on and on and on. And we flew home the next day and I got a call. He goes, "You're not going to believe it." He goes, "I just gave my life to Christ." I mean, does it get any better than that? And then he leaves our company and he goes on to be executive director for a refugee NGO. And I mean, he has had so much impact on people since he left Phantom. So it's that ripple effect when you say faith legacy, things like that happening. That's what I care about. Talk about Richard, don't talk about me. It's just amazing.
That's an amazing story. Oh,
yeah.
I felt chills because, to just change someone's one life like that, and how many more you touched, you don't even know about.
Right. And to get to see it just once.
Just once.
It just gives you total energy to continue on for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Well, my next question kind of leads into, because, I feel a lot of joy, but I'm going to ask you, what brings you joy?
Oh, what brings me joy is, I'd say at work, but this is true even in my personal life with my kids, is watching people seize their God-given potential, whether they give him the credit or not. But seeing them pursue it and grow it and continue to develop themselves as people. And if I've had a part to play in that, even better yet. Like, it's just so cool. So yes, getting to be a CEO here and bringing in people and watching them get opportunities and grow. Oh, best joy ever. Because hopefully one day they'll know who to thank for their potential.
Aw. Well, Esther,
I don't mean thank me. I mean, thank their creator.
The big one. Well, Esther, thank you for taking this time to just share with us your story, your personal, your professional, your spiritual, and how they come together, because that's Leader Impact.
Absolutely.
And I've loved hearing it. And your last story is just so impactful for many people. And as you said, to go to a Southern Baptist church, I'm like, I just want to go there.
Yeah.
And I know exactly what it's like when you feel the pastor speaking to you.
Oh, exactly.
And obviously, something was said and it's like, is he talking to me? I know that feeling.
He was so impacted he couldn't even eat his chicken lunch afterwards that the church had prepared.
That's wonderful. Well, so this ends our podcast, Esther, but I again want to thank you. And if people want to engage with you or want to follow up or learn more about Phantom Screens, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me, probably the easiest, most public route is on Instagram. My name, Esther Wolde, is my account name. So you can DM me anytime you want. And as far as Phantom Screens go, phantomscreens.com is our website, and Phantom Screens is the name of all our social media accounts as well, where you could reach through.
All right. Well, thank you, Esther, for taking the time. The last 40 minutes has been just wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's been really good. Thank you.
Thank all of you for joining us. If you're part of Leader Impact, you can always discuss or share this wisdom with your group. And if you're not yet in Leader Impact group, we would love to have you. Check out groups available in your area at leaderimpact.ca or get in touch with us and we will connect you. Stay in touch with our newsletter at leaderimpact.ca or on social media, or get in touch with us at info@leaderimpact.ca. And if you like this podcast, please leave us a comment, give us a rating or review. This will help other leaders find our podcast. Thank you for engaging with us, and remember, impact starts with you.